Good afternoon, late afternoon, SCPA family and community. Oh, we've got an oh hello out there already. That's fantastic. Um, Welcome to our college and conservatory conversation. Today we have an incredible university with diverse programs that are going to be talking a little bit more specifically about what they offer at USC, what separates each of the programs as far as um, the degrees that are offered, and how you go about auditioning or preparing to audition or portfolio review or go through the application process. So I want our team to kind of go around, our panel this afternoon, to go around and introduce themselves so they can give everybody a chance to know a little bit more about who they're representing. And then we'll start with our first question. So students, get ready, take some notes, get ready for what promises to be an informative discussion about the University of Southern California. And I want to start with Antonio up there. Antonio, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Of course. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Antonio Bartolome. I am the Student Services Manager at the USC Roski School of Art and Design. And my role is I coordinate and manage all of our undergraduate and graduate admission and student services. So I have a really unique perspective of meeting all of our students from when they're considering USC all the way to graduating. So I'm really happy to be here and excited to be part of my arts colleagues' presentation.
Awesome. And I think I'm just going to go right to the next person that I see on our screen, and that's Elliot.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elliot Scher, and I'm an Admissions and Student Services Officer at USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance. I am so thrilled to be here today. As a Student Services Officer, I work in admissions with our admissions team, and I also work on recruitment. I also work in our Career Services Office, as well as I spearhead our Alumni Affairs team.
Awesome. Elliot, welcome. Susan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. We're excited to spend some time with you all. My name is Susan Park. I am the Director of Admissions at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. The admissions office, our role is to really help prospective students learn more about SCA and our programs and help students determine if the School of Cinematic Arts or any one of our programs is the right fit for you. We're also available as a resource throughout the entire application and admissions process, all the way up until the point of enrollment. And so any questions today or even beyond today, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Brittany.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'm so grateful to have the chance to be here today. As was mentioned, my name is Brittany Jimenez, and I'm the Associate Director for Undergraduate Admission here, specifically with the Thornton School of Music. So I get to work with all of our wonderful undergraduate applicants throughout the process, as Susan mentioned, kind of all throughout up until enrollment. And I also have the great fortune of continuing to be in touch with many of our currently enrolled students, working with our undergraduate student ambassadors. So I love sharing about the Thornton School. I love being a part of this USC family and the Thornton community as well. So just grateful to have the chance to share with you all today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So this is an incredible panel. I love how welcoming USC is to potential students that are out there. So students, just know that each of these folks, it can be available for you for information regarding lots of things that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that I want to start off with, and this is going to be kind of a little bit of, we're going to go backwards a little bit before we go forwards. And that is, I want to hook our students into understanding that more than anything else, they are not alone in this currency right now, and that universities, colleges, conservatories, everybody is trying to figure out how they're navigating this current moment that we're kind of stuck in. And so I know that students are interested in knowing just a little bit offhand, how has the university taken on some of those challenges, and what are some of the things that you're doing to make sure that students feel connected? Antonio, I'm going to start with you, man.
Sure, yeah. Well, what has been challenging is we are a studio arts design program. How do you offer studio arts remotely? And that was the first question we asked, not just ourselves, but our colleagues all over the world. There are some disciplines that lend itself to be easy to pivot to online, and there's some that are nearly impossible. However, what has remained constant for the Roski School is the expertise and the talents of the faculty, and the students have remained the same. So it's this idea that this is a temporary solution, and we're hoping to get back to our normal conditions. But at the same time, there are certain interesting things that we've approached this year. So, for example, for some of our classes, we actually sent kits, art kits, to students' homes if they weren't close to campus. We had a service bureau model for our labs, so students can actually do a drop-off, curbside pickup and drop-off. So students who are in ceramics and sculpture could drop off pieces to be fired and glazed. And of course, if they're not close to campus, we would connect them with certain resources. For our wheel throwing class, we sent mini wheels so students can actually still throw in their bedroom, in their garage, wherever they are. So those are some examples. But really what we've noticed is the inspiration hasn't stopped. Students are cranking out pieces like no other because they've got nothing by time right now. There's nothing to distract them from being able to create. And in terms of community, what I've also noticed was this was an experiment. We thought students would be so Zoom fatigued that they wouldn't take this up. But some of our faculty just did open studio hangouts during the day where they'll just have their camera on in their studio and students are just hanging out with them on Zoom, talking about music, talking about life, talking about politics, talking about their pieces. And it's not even part of class, and people are hanging out for hours. And the students really felt like, yes, we're not on campus, but we're still connected, and we're talking about things that really matter to us. And it's been really exciting. I know we're dying to get back to our campus, but our Trojan family is really stepping up to really make sure that we're connected, we're inspired, and we are still creative.
That's awesome, man. And I think that that sense of family, that sense of community is what keeps people united. It's similar to us at San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. So students, there you go. There's one university's perspective and one college's perspective. Elliot, I know we have dancers that are dying to get into the Kaufman School, but are struggling with having to do bar and to do, their modern class, through this distance. What are the challenges at the Kaufman School?
Sure. So it's been an interesting time. And one of the things that we have done as a school is really made sure that our students have the right resources at home. So we have provided them some stipends to be able to purchase equipment for dance, such as bars at home or floors, shoes, whatever it is they need to make their space accessible. We go ahead and do that. We have also really worked with our seniors. Each year, our seniors get a kind of career development stipend to make sure that they are able to pursue their professional endeavors. We have increased that this year so they can really take advantage of those resources to use that money as they would need to for this COVID time. Obviously, there are additional challenges that they face, but we are still teaching class. We're still rocking and rolling. We're still doing rep. One of the great things about this time actually is that we have had access to some artists that are now available because of the pandemic. So we can just jump on a call and have them come and teach class when they normally wouldn't be available. So that's been really interesting and a good thing that has come out of this pandemic. And another thing is we have really shifted our model to be so much online in terms of showcasing our students. So our seniors normally put together essentially a senior performance that would be live, obviously. And this year it was completely virtual, and we were able to specifically target that entire package out to specific individuals for them to kind of watch at their own leisure. And I think that we've had great response with that. The industry folks that we work with are so grateful that we were able to do that. And even in this time that it's been challenging to watch things live, we have access now to recorded material. We have so much more rep that's available to be streamed. So there have been some good things that come out of it, and our students are really making the best that they can out of this situation.
That's awesome. So it sounds like resilience is really the key word there with the dancers. And dancers who are listening today, because I know we've got a few out there today who are very interested in USC. As you're listening to Elliot, recognize that those are some of the same tactics, the same approaches that we have made with our school. So a lot of it too comes down to that self-discipline, that being able to say, look, I'm going to stay connected to my work regardless. Elliot, we just had juries last night with our senior class, and it was actually incredibly rewarding. Even in that distance, they felt connected. But man, we cannot wait for our dancers to get back in the studio.
I can.
Susan, how's it, the cinematic arts program, handling it?
Yeah, I think, it's certainly has been, we know it's been a challenging time for students. We absolutely acknowledge the loss that they feel, not having what they expected in terms of education and experience. I think it's been amazing, though, to see how USC as a broader institution and how each and every one of the academic units and the different schools have so quickly pivoted. I think USC operates from a position of strength because we're well-resourced and have such amazing faculty and staff members who are so dedicated to providing students with a really robust education and experience even through this challenging time. And I think that at SCA, one of kind of the unique things that we know is that this is also happening in the industry. And so we are fortunate to be in really close communication with and have a lot of close relationships with industry professionals, the different guilds in the industry, to make sure that our practices are aligning with best practice as it's being done in the industry. So I think when we think about that, what we know is that students coming in right now and who are having this education right now are really best prepared to enter and navigate what is happening in the industry right now. Our faculty in each and every one of our divisions have worked tirelessly to provide students with a lot of opportunities for virtual learning and continued creativity and collaboration. In our production division, the faculty worked on virtual production protocol, where they themselves kind of went through the practice of navigating and shooting an entire project virtually so that they can then teach our students kind of what that process looks like. And there's a lot of different examples in each and every one of our academic units. And I would really echo kind of what some of my other colleagues have shared, is in that we are finding some of the most inspiring and strong work right now, which maybe students didn't totally expect would happen. But I think it really speaks to, as you and Elliot mentioned already, is kind of the resilience and our students having the characteristics of pushing through, adversity and pushing through challenges. Those are the things that we value at USC, and I know in each and every one of our schools, and we've seen that at SCA, and it's been, I think, really encouraging. Similar to Elliot, we one of the great things about SCA in general is kind of that access to the industry and being able to network. And it has continued in such a robust way since the spring semester alone. We've had over 100 virtual events where our students have been able to engage with industry professionals, studio executives. So we had Kevin Feige and Jeffrey Katzenberg, Ava DuVernay, Steven Soderbergh, just a few examples. Really a lot of industry friends who want to kind of give back and want to support our students. And I know that's true of so many other schools as well. And so I think our kind of what we've learned is that in any situation, even pre-COVID, it's really what the students make of it. And it's really them taking kind of the initiative and kind of embracing the challenge and moving forward. And we know that those students are doing really, really well and then producing some good work and are well situated to enter into the industry now.
Those are some great points that you brought up. I mean, one of the things that I think students that are out there, we do have a couple of questions coming in about the film acting program and film in general. One of the things that's interesting about USC students is that connection to the Hollywood scene. They're very tight when it comes to the folks that work in Hollywood and the cinematic arts program and all of the programs when it comes to the University of Southern California. That industry connection is powerful. I think the other thing that Susan, you were kind of touching upon this, and that is we were already pre-COVID in a digitized world, and we were moving further and further in that direction. The current moment now has just simply exploded it. So digitization is up 89% and automation is up 66%. So I think that what students are discovering is that there's going to be some things that come out of this that stick around. They're going to be a part of the future moving forward. And I think that you kind of alluded to that. So thank you. Brittany, how's the Thornton School?
Yeah, thanks. I love hearing from my colleagues about what's going on at the other programs on USC's campus as well. I think, with music, a lot of what's happening with music when we're typically on campus on the ground is, of course, that in-person collaboration, ensembles, chamber music, lessons, kind of having that direct connection to collaborate and perform and make music together. And though that has certainly changed in how that's approached, I think there's still been some really great connection and collaboration that's happening. And I think a lot of that also comes down to, with community, also the really special kind of mentorship role that students and faculty have in these arts disciplines. The fact that they, especially for our music students, through lessons and ensembles and chamber music and their different classes, have a lot of opportunities to work really closely with faculty, and that has certainly carried on in our remote learning platform. And everybody's been working extremely hard to not lose any of that as we pivoted to this remote learning environment. And so I think lessons have carried on very, similarly. So where students are still having their private lessons with Thornton faculty members. And there's also still been collaboration amongst smaller chamber groups. Chamber music is still carrying on, combo projects. We've just seen a lot of this move, as you were just mentioning, to kind of this digital world, recording arts being a big part of what's happening now, which has been, a nice kind of silver lining in this challenge to move to the remote environment, is that for some of the programs, there may not have been as big of an emphasis on the recording arts side of music and the performance programs. And so that has now shifted to be a very big part of the emphasis. The symphony orchestra and Thornton Winds, part of that rotation has been a whole recording arts kind of course and workshop with a Thornton faculty member, which that wouldn't have been such a key aspect of that experience previously. So that's been, I think, a really neat thing that has kind of forced that exploration in recording arts for many of these areas. And helped students continue to have that creative outlet and have that creative outlet together. We, over the summer, started a Live from Somewhere series where students were recording themselves and submitting them to the Thornton School to still keep that music going and being able to hear and see each other perform and support each other from whatever part of the world we're currently in. As has been mentioned as well, also guest artists. That's something that would happen on campus as well, having guests, but I think that has definitely grown, and the access to different people, because there wasn't that travel component, has been a really special part of the remote process as well. We've had programs that are kind of exploring new technologies as well. There was recently a music industry symposium that was using this really neat platform that I will now forget the name of it, of course. But they had avatars, and it was kind of emulating a conference, and still being able to hold on to the networking aspect that is a really great part about being in the industry as well. So I think that's been, a lot of it, again, moving to these recorded projects, which is going to kind of culminate in a virtual fall festival that we have coming up in December, which will be really neat to highlight a lot of this work that's been going on throughout the semester, because everybody has been working so hard to stay connected and to stay creative and, find new and exciting ways, or maybe not entirely new, but refresh some of these ways to kind of use the platform of music and arts in general, as we've been hearing from my colleagues, all the different things that have been going on, to just kind of, the arts are something that is needed, and that has only become, I think, more apparent in this COVID-19 remote environment. So that's a little bit of what's been going on at the Thornton School. That's
awesome. And you're absolutely so right. The arts are needed now more than ever. And I think, first of all, I want to thank all four of you for elaborating on some of the things that you guys are doing in order to be proactive about student learning and engagement through this time. And actually, I'm gonna suggest that our faculty maybe watch this interview just to hear a little bit about what's going on out there. You guys have been very helpful with the information that you have shared so far, so thank you. I do want to, now that I get just how intelligent and passionate this group is, I think I'm going to start again with Antonio, because he's been sitting so quiet for so long here. But I want each of you to have a moment here. Take your time, have a moment to just go through your program and kind of illuminate some of the things that we were talking pre-show here. Go ahead and bring those things together and tie them together, and have a moment to just share out what your program is all about, what you offer students, and maybe even a little bit about the application process.
Sure. So the Roski School essentially is the fine art and design program at the USC. So we have 5 areas that that our students can really explore and customize their experience. We have our 2D area, which comprises of drawing, painting, and printmaking. 3D art is sculpture, ceramics, metal. 4D art is anything that has to do with digital lenses. So you're looking at digital photography, analog photography, digital video, and interactivity. And we also have a performance art department in that area. We also have our design program. The design program is a very immersive area that will expose students to all aspects of design, whether it's the aesthetics, the design elements. You're looking at 2D and 3D design. You're looking at fashion design, UI, UX, branding, marketing, typography, really nerding it out in design. And then the last area, our critical studies area, which is really it's not your typical art history, memorizing dates, key figures, artists. It's really, critical studies is learning the language of critiques. How do you critique other people's work, your own work? How do you also reconcile art history with current social events, social justice, social issues? So you're not just looking at it as an observer, but really making critical thinking and critical thought about what's happening in your world. Not just documenting your world, but actually deconstructing your world so you can actually be an informed citizen using the arts. So those are the 5 areas. Even though I highlight 5 areas, we only offer 3 degrees. We offer 2 Bachelor of Fine Arts, 1 in art or design, and then we have a Bachelor of Art in art. The main difference between the BFA or the BA is the BFA is your most immersive pre-professional art degree that a university like USC can offer. There's a lot of requirements in studio in the major program, so you can get deeper. You can get a deeper dive in your portfolio creation, and so that when you finish your degree, then you've had an opportunity to really develop your skill set, your portfolio, and your pursuit for after college. The BA are taking the same type of courses, but it's less. It's a more humanities, liberal arts approach to the degree, and we don't discriminate or we don't segregate in terms of just because you're a BFA or a BA doesn't mean you can't be in the same class. You'll be taking the same photography class as a BFA or a BA. The other thing too that's also I want to highlight is when a student graduates from USC Roski, your diploma or your transcript will not say BFA Art in Drawing and Sculpture or BFA Design in publication design and product design. We actually don't want to espouse that you are a certain type of artist. We want to say that you are a creative, you are an artist or designer that can really do a lot of things, so that you can pivot to different directions. So we actually don't want to think that you are only limited to your media, because really the media is what's supposed to uplift the information and the ideas you're trying to pursue. So don't be limited in the construct of, I only do work because I only do photographic work. No, you can do photographic work with sculpture and printmaking, because you'll be exposed to that at the Roski School. So you'll have pretty much that. That's our program in a nutshell. I also invite you all in the panel and the students. I also host like a weekly webinar series too at the USC virtually right now. So we have virtual academic information session for each of our programs. So if you want more of a full-fledged presentation, I invite you to join us during those weekly sessions. I guess I'll talk about the application process as well. For the Roski School, we use the Common Application in addition to the Slide Room portal. So these are two separate portals that my other colleagues will also talk about. For the Roski School, our admission deadlines are December 1st and January 15th. The December 1st deadline is for students who want to be considered for University Merit Scholarship. And then for January 15th for us, for Roski, it's for regular admission. But some of our colleagues here will talk about specifically how those deadlines apply to them. And really what we're looking for, in addition to the common application information, in Slide Room, we're looking to collect information about you as an artist or a designer. We're looking at an art essay, about 300 to 500 word essay about your inspiration, your motivation as an artist, and the ideas and exhibitions and activities you're doing. We're also looking for a creative experience and a creative background, akin to like a resume CV. And then for design applicants, we actually ask you for an example of good design and bad design and explain in 100 words or less what that means to you. And then we also have the portfolio. And we're asking students to upload 10 to 15 images of your best, most recent work that exemplify who you are as a human being and as an artist. So that's just our program in a nutshell.
That's awesome. So students, I hope our visual arts kids that are out there today really took that in. That's great. And I love the idea of the diversification. I think that's just fantastic. So the faces have moved around. So so I think who went second last time was Elliot. I think that's right. Right, Elliot? Were you second? Okay. So Elliot's going to talk about the Kaufman School.
Thanks so much. So our Kaufman School has one undergraduate degree, and it's the Bachelor of Fine Arts. There are about 24 students in each class, so there are about 100 students in the program. And our mission really is to create hybrid artists who are going to be leaders in thought and in dance. So our BFA, it's a professional 4-year degree, and it's a conservatory style training embedded within the larger university. So your courses such as dance technique, repertoire and performance, improv and comp are kind of interwoven with courses like dance history and dance science, entrepreneurship, media, and they kind of all build upon each other. So in terms of the dancing itself, our students are dancing, I would say, about 25 to 35 hours a week. So it's extremely intense, and it's grounded in ballet, contemporary, and pop. And it's a focus on how the technique styles intersect. And our students perform a lot. Even our freshmen get to perform. That's a question asked a lot at college fairs. And they learn masterworks from really fantastic choreographers working actively in the industry. Yuri Killian, there's also classical rep George Balanchine, Dwight Roden came in and did a piece this semester. So there is a lot of opportunity to learn that really great rep. And then once you're upperclassmen, you kind of choose between 4 concentrations. So you can choose dance performance, which is the more traditional path that is more based for concert and commercial works. There's also choreography for stage and screen. There's music and dance, which kind of studies that intersection. And then there's design your own. And design your own is my favorite. It allows our students to create a truly custom program of study where they can choose to integrate knowledge that they've gained through a minor or other classes in the university to really create a project and and perform that project senior year and kind of look at what they've learned over the course of their 4 years and put it into a package and really take classes from all over the university. So we're housed in the USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance building, which opened in 2012. It's a really new, modern, amazing space, gorgeous floor to ceiling windows. There's 2 wood floors and 2 Marley floor studios. It's fantastic. And there's actually a building tour online if our students watching want to go and take a tour. It's under the admission apply tab. So other than that, some of the great things about the school that are really unique for a dance program is that we have a physical therapist on site who is able to give appointments 5 days a week. We also have mental health counselor who is paired with our school because we feel that mental health is so important for our dancers as well as the student body, and it's often ignored in programs. And we have a lot of resources in terms of outreach to career industry professionals. I'm on the career services team, so we are constantly having our students perform for guest artists, bringing in directors, agents, choreographers to give them feedback and or audition them. We have a revolving door of fantastic people coming in and out of the building. And our faculty is some of the strongest in the country, and they are year-round dance innovators. They are artists in residence, they rotate, and they're active in the field, and they create and set professional works for companies and performers while also working with our students. Our audition process this year is a little bit different. It's all completely online. So in terms of auditioning, our dancers will need to submit a headshot and a resume. There is a 220-word written response to a short prompt. There's also a video response to a short prompt. This year, the prompt is the USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance wants to empower dance thought leaders through artistry and scholarship. So how can art facilitate conversations about social issues? You also submit 2 contrasting solos of no more than 1 minute each, and we leave it up to the dancers to what contrasting means to them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a contemporary and a ballet piece. It could be 2 ballet pieces. It could be 2 contemporary pieces. It could be 2 hip hop. It's really up to you, and you want to show what you are strongest in. And then finally, this year, there are 3 6-minute demos in ballet, contemporary, and hip hop, where our faculty are giving demonstration exercises, and you then have to essentially do the exercises and video yourself doing them. About 25% of our students traditionally move on to a second round, which will be a live Zoom interview with the entire faculty, where they will have a chance to have a one-on-one interview, and there will be some sort of improvisational component. So that is a little bit about the audition process. Like Antonio mentioned, there's also a virtual session that's held each week by my department. So you are welcome to sign up, and there's a more specific outlay of the curriculum and a bit more about our faculty and artists in residence.
That's outstanding. And students, you're hearing over and over again the idea of virtual submission. That existed for a lot of schools pre-COVID. And I'm guessing that a lot of schools are going to hold on to some of those components as we continue to move forward. So some of this is about really adapting yourself as the artist to meet the currency with the medium. And it sounds like, especially when it comes to the dance audition. So take your classes seriously. Susan, you're up.
Yeah, so the School of Cinematic Arts is comprised of 7 different divisions, 6 of which offer an undergraduate program. We think that's one of the great distinctives of the school is that even though students come into a particular major or area of study, We know that so many of our students have varied interests and are passionate about a lot of areas within the cinematic arts. And so they have the opportunity to really take advantage of a really interdisciplinary education and experience. And even though they come into one major, take courses in different areas, collaborate with students and faculty in the other divisions as well. I'll just quickly run down the 6 programs that we have at the undergraduate level: animation and digital arts, where students will learn to make animated films by exploring traditional media methods and tools. Our cinema and media studies division is really our most theory-based division, really analyzing film, television, media, tackling the question of why media matters. Our interactive entertainment major has the #1 video game design program in North America for like the last decade. USC Games is a joint collaboration with USC's Viterbi School of Engineering, but it's also just about creating interactive experiences as well. Film and television production, students will collaborate to learn all aspects of making film, television, new media, focusing on different genres based upon their interests. They'll learn everything from pre to post production, and then have the opportunity to focus in on 1 or more 6 tracks based upon their interest. Media Arts and Practice is a media design program focused on storytelling using multiple different platforms, really looking at the intersection of digital storytelling and media design with other disciplines, whether it's business or education, or just other areas of interest. This is also really our most kind of emerging program that focuses on not only traditional forms of media, but kind of new and emerging forms of technology and media. And our Writing for Screen and Television program, where students will learn to write for all visual media, whether that's features, TV, digital platforms, or even video games. The strong kind of theme and values that we have across all of the divisions is the idea of storytelling. We're a huge storytelling school. Whether that's writing a script or making a video game, everything is really about the stories that our students are telling, and honing their unique narrative voice. Also, a very, very strong focus on collaboration. There are very few projects that students do independently. The vast majority is working in crews or teams or in collaboration with other students. And that's designed intentionally to ensure student success, not only at USC, but really in the industry, and to make sure that a lot of what we provide in terms of opportunities is emulating kind of how it's done in the industry. And so even in kind of the admission process, we're really looking at if those values align with applicants as well. In terms of kind of what makes us unique, a lot of what my colleagues have shared, our location, our amazing faculty, who are some of the most celebrated industry professionals right now, who are actively still working in the industry. A really, really amazing alumni base, 16,000 alumni of the School of Cinematic Arts, who are really permeated in every aspect of the entertainment industry. It's not uncommon that they stick together as they enter the industry and continue to work on different projects and productions. And we also, again, kind of that interdisciplinary education. We have 20 different minors, and so we really want students to come out of their 4 or however many years with a meaningful education and experience. And so there's a lot of different opportunities to do that. In terms of the application process, similar in that, so students have to submit the common application and USC writing supplement, admission to USC. We also utilize a slider application, which is an application that collects supplemental materials or portfolio submission. Each and every one of our undergraduate programs has a separate slider application and requirement. So it's important that students kind of pay close attention to what those requirements are. They can be a combination of writing samples, visual samples, media samples, creative work samples. It can be a variety of things. And again, each is unique to the program. And it's important to know if students apply to more than one program at the School of Cinematic Arts, USC allows students to apply to a first and second choice major. And so if there are two programs that students are interested in at SCA, it's not uncommon actually that students apply to two programs. That's two separate side applications that need to be completed for each program. We are really looking for the students' storytelling ability and what their narrative voice is. We are looking for a student's point of view, their artistry, their aesthetic. We also don't want students to get really, really caught up in feeling like they need to submit a very technically polished portfolio or materials. We're far more interested in their narrative ability and their storytelling and the potential that they have. We know that some students may not, have access to certain cameras or equipment, especially right now with a lot of schools being having remote learning. And so it's not uncommon that students might use their smartphone, their iPhone, and that's totally okay. We don't ever want students to feel discouraged about that. But again, just kind of more greatly focus on showcasing their storytelling. The School of Cinematic Arts for first-year freshman applicants, we have a very firm deadline of December 1. And so you heard that other programs may also accept applications by that January 15th deadline. We do not. And so really important, it's always the worst thing when students think that they have until January 15th. And for all of our programs, we need all the materials, a completed application by that December 1st deadline, which I know is very soon for the fall 2021 cycle. And so if, again, there are any specific questions, we have a lot of very detailed information on our website. We also have, again, as you heard, virtual information sessions. All of that's on our website as well. And so please take a look there. And again, don't hesitate to reach out if there are any questions.
That is a ton of information. And so students, MH, your question, I thought the deadline was December the 6th. The deadline is for the Cinematic Arts program is December 1. And I would imagine that has a lot to do with the competition to get into that program. That is a highly desirable program. It's number 1 in the nation, has been for I don't know how many years. Susan, did you say that 16, 20? It's been number 1 for forever, I think.
Yeah, that was our video. The game design program has been number 1. We've also been ranked very highly by the Hollywood Reporter for the last 7-8 years as a top film school, and so we're very fortunate. And certainly, I mean, we have that early deadline because yes, we are selective, but we also really want to take the time to honor the work that students submit. We know you work so hard on it. And so we give ourselves as much time as we can to really dive into and thoroughly review every component of your application. All students have a fair and equal shot as long as you submit the application by the deadline. And so part of why we have an early application deadline of December 1 is because we're spending a lot of time in those applications getting to know you, getting to know applicants, and assessing that fit. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. MH, I think that when the film acting program, we're going to have Ramon here on Monday talking about the Department of Theater. And I think we're going to get that question answered then. But Zay, you've been so amazing. You go to every single session that we do, and I'm proud of you. This is a brand new student to SCPA, Cinematic Arts major, has a great question here. Do you have strong relationships with local film companies, say if you wanted to try to get an internship?
Hi, Zay. Such a good question. Thanks for asking that. And yes, we do. That's one of really kind of the strong benefits of SCA, as well as just USC in general, I would say, is that we have a lot of close connections and relationships with industry professionals, as well as so many companies and studios, whether they're the more kind of big name, kind of well-known studios, or more independent boutique studios, kind of everything in between. And one of the great things is that the studios and companies, they want our students as interns because they know the type of students that we have. They know their work ethic, they know their talent, They know that they are really kind of good at the work that they do. And so it's not uncommon that, companies or studios will call up our faculty or department chairs and say, hey, we're looking for an intern for, this program. Internship opportunities have been provided by alumni. Again, the Trojan family and that tightness is like a real thing. And that's it's a great opportunity for students in a way to just kind of get connected. And so we don't guarantee an internship. We're not a placement school, so we're not going to place you in one. We think that's an important part of you kind of taking the initiative to put yourself out there, to apply, and to really kind of go for it. But you have tons of opportunities. We have an industry relations department, an entire office dedicated to students' professional development. They host internship fairs, job fair, career week. All of that has been virtual in this time. So lots of opportunities for students to pursue internships and job opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thanks for the questions, Zay. Time for Brittany, Thornton School.
Yeah, thank you so much. So here at the Thornton School of Music, we have kind of 3 divisions of music. There's lots of programs, there's lots going on at the Thornton School. And so one way that we kind of have these different programs grouped together is, again, by these 3 different divisions of music. So those 3 divisions that we have are classical performance and composition. We have the division of contemporary music, and then we have the research and scholarly studies division. So across these 3 divisions, we have about 1,000 Thornton students total, and this will comprise graduate and undergraduate students. About close to 600 of those are undergraduate students, and close to about 400 of those are graduate students. For the purposes of undergraduate programs that we offer, those are going to live specifically in the classical performance and composition division and the division of contemporary music. So on the classical side, for the classical division, the different programs that we offer are choral music, classical guitar, composition, piano, organ, strings, vocal arts, and woodwinds, brass, and percussion. And then in the contemporary division, we offer undergraduate programs in jazz studies, music industry, music production, and popular music performance. So music industry is kind of a lone ranger in the sense of that is not a performance-based program. Our music industry program is focusing more on the business side of the industry. So lots of different avenues within the industry, but for example, things like live music production and promotion, music publishing and licensing, A&R management, concert management, some of the legal aspects of the industry as well. So that's kind of what we're referencing with some of the business side of the music industry, but again, focusing in specifically in this music world. And then all the other programs that I mentioned for the undergraduate degrees, those are all what we would call performance-based programs, meaning that there's going to be core performance elements ingrained in all of those areas of study. So again, the one exception, music industry is not a performance-based program. Really briefly, just to kind of summarize what I kind of group as 4 key aspects of this undergraduate experience. One, as my colleagues have mentioned, we're kind of these standalone art schools, but we're within the University of Southern California. So students get both of those experiences. And so Thornton undergraduate students are also going to pursue general education classes, which I think is a really important part of this musical experience. They may not be music-specific classes, but there's so much complementary experiences that will happen in those GE classes. And I love to quote Professor Patrice Rushen, who's the chair of the popular music program, where she says that this is a place where you get to converse with students who have found the art in whatever it is that they are pursuing, whether it's a medical student, it's a cinematic arts student, whatever they might be pursuing. And I think that is a really important and exciting part of what happens at a place like USC, where we have so many different arts programs, where students are able to take that deep dive in their study, but also have these interdisciplinary experiences. And that holds true in a lot of ways, but definitely through those GE classes for our Thornton students. For those performance-based programs, there's also kind of core Thornton classes. So these are really musicianship-focused classes, things that many of you may be familiar with, like theory, oral skills, ear training types of classes. We have music history requirements. But there are some things I feel make that experience unique here at the Thornton School. And one of those main things is that those classes aren't really designated specifically by major. So as a classical vocalist, that student may be in theory and oral skills classes with contemporary students, popular music vocalists, production students, composers, classical instrumentalists. So again, this chance to converse with students who have a lot of different experiences with music and backgrounds and ways that they might be thinking about theory and applying that in their practice, as well as a lot of common ways that you'll find. And then the music history sequence starts with a really neat class called Music and Ideas, where it's starting to break down music history thematically rather than chronologically. And that's all of the sophomore performance students together in that Music and Ideas class. So just a couple of highlights of how those kind of things you might see as typical classes in other schools, how that's kind of a little bit unique here at the Thornton School. Music industry friends, that again will be a little bit different because we're not looking at a performance-based program. So kind of working in some more business-related courses in some of that core area rather than so much emphasis on the musicianship classes. And then, of course, all of these programs are going to have really program-specific coursework, stuff that's really designed based on what your kind of specialized field of study is, which will, again, vary by program. So I'll briefly skim over that, but that's where a lot of the performance-related stuff is. Lessons with faculty, ensemble requirements, collaborative performance experiences. But then the fourth area I also love, and it's elective units, and I like to call that kind of the choose your own adventure portion of your time here at USC, because we don't prescribe exactly how you have to satisfy those requirements. And so those could be classes that are offered by the Thornton School. It could be a dance minor, it could be a cinematic arts minor, an art minor, it could be a sprinkling of different classes from USC. So again, more opportunities for interdisciplinary studies, as well as I think a really important component of student ownership in this experience. It's the student experience. We want to help support and facilitate this journey here at USC. And another quote that I've heard faculty mention, this one being from Sean Holt, who's the Vice Dean of the Contemporary Division, but if a student who does the Thornton School experience well does it diversely. And I think that's also something that's a really big part of what happens here. And it's not just that it's allowed, but it's really encouraged. And I think that's another thing that's really special, is it's not just, yes, we allow you to do this, but faculty are excited for you to explore other instruments, other classes, other disciplines at USC, because they know how that helps facilitate this musical experience, and vice versa, how your music experience helps grow in these other areas as well. And then often these degrees are kind of culminating with capstone projects, or on the classical side, we call it your Young Artist Project. Many of the programs have kind of recitals and showcases as well. So having that kind of big experience at the end that brings a lot of your experiences together, again, in that kind of final project, showcase, recital experience overall. Quickly about the application process, as Susan mentioned, for the cinematic arts, same is true here at the Thornton School. It is a very firm December 1 application deadline. Two key components that you must submit by that deadline are the USC undergraduate application, complete with all the USC requirements. And then we also use a slide room portfolio, which is where you will submit Thornton-specific materials. These are also going to be very program specific, so let the website and myself be one of your best friends through this process. So if any questions that you have about the portfolio particulars, never hesitate to reach out. Specifically for fall 2021 applicants, composition and music industry, there is definitely a portfolio requirement, but it's a one-time digital portfolio submission. There is not a multi-round process for music industry and composition. For all of our other undergraduate programs, there's going to be a first round of consideration, which will include the material that's submitted via slide room by that December 1 deadline. And then there is a second round of consideration. So students will hear from us in mid to late December, letting you know whether or not you are advancing to the second round of consideration. And then the second round of consideration will vary by program. In previous years, and hopefully in years moving forward, we'll be able to return to that the second round of consideration typically would have been a live on-campus audition. However, for this application cycle, as has been mentioned by other colleagues, this will be something that is a fully virtual second round of consideration. My apologies, Siri thought I was talking to her for some reason. So if your second round of consideration requires any type of interactive experience, if it's going to be a performance audition or an interview, that's again all going to be conducted online for this fall 2021 application cycle. And all the details of what will be included in that second round of consideration for those advancing will be included in that email that we send out in mid to late December. So really brief overview. All the details are on the website. And of course, as everyone's mentioned, please reach out if you do have any questions. We want to help kind of facilitate and make sure that it's all clear and you understand how to be able to put your best foot forward in this application process. So I definitely welcome any questions.
Awesome. So students, you've got two programs out there that have a hard December 1 deadline, Cinematic Arts and the USC Thornton School of Music. Jack's got a question for us, so we're going to put that up.
Sorry, Richard, I forgot to mention, we also have a December
Okay, so
deadline.
3 out of the 4 have a hard December 1 deadline.
Yeah.
Students, all this speaks to is that USC is a highly desired destination for post-secondary study. So make sure that if you want to go to the USC, that you are already working on your application or you're getting started immediately. And that they've pointed you to great resources. The USC website is actually fantastic. There's lots of stuff to navigate there. And don't be afraid to talk to your counselor or email me. I'll help you too. Jack has a question. I am applying to the Thornton School for Drums, but I'm also very interested in working with different arts. Now, this is a little bit different, I think, Brittany, than what you were talking about within the department. Jack is interested in working with different arts programs. And how often do different schools work together or collaborate?
Yeah, so I think it happens quite regularly. And again, that's where those elective units come in really handy in terms of a way to fit specific classes into your schedule. So that's a way, where maybe if there's a minor that a student is interested in, that's a different arts discipline minor, that it provides a lot of flexibility in the schedule, speaking specifically for Thornton students to be able to pursue these other disciplines. But I also think it's really great to point out that experiences and collaboration with other programs at USC don't only have to be pursued through courses you would take for credit. That's a great option, but there's 1,000 student organizations here on campus. And there's also just kind of students that, again, by the nature of kind of being in a lot of these different classes together, the on-campus living experience, typically, you have the opportunities to meet all sorts of different artists, scholars, people that are just here on the USC campus. I can just point out a couple of logistical examples of kind of how this happens. We have composers that write with the Kaufman School of Dance students. So there's an annual showcase with composers and dancers where they're writing and creating original music. The dancers are choreographing and performing original dance. It's a really neat showcase that happens. There's regularly collaborations between cinematic arts students and Thornton students for music, for film projects. There's a student who did a senior recital a couple of years ago. For the senior recital, there was artwork that was commissioned by USC artists that was inspired by music that was programmed on the recital. Also worked with Kaufman dancers to perform dance along with that recital. So those are just the ones I can think of, right off the bat. I know that there's many more that happen, and any of my colleagues, please chime in on other opportunities where students are taking advantage of what's going on in your wonderful programs.
Yeah, that was great, Brittany. I would just echo that, some of it happens in a structured way with the classes, minors, and some of it is just so organic. I think it's so built into kind of the culture of USC, the culture of the art schools. You've heard us say collaboration like a million times already, and that's just really built into what we value. And so a lot of that just happens super organically among students. I think even in this time of remote learning and being in a virtual space, that hasn't stopped. There are so many, it's incredible the access to talented classmates and students that any USC student has, whether that's within their academic unit or within another school. And as Brittany mentioned earlier, it's something that, she just said it in a great way, where it's not just allowed, but it's encouraged. And that's certainly true of SCA as well. We encourage students to be constantly mindful of the fact that you're not just within SCA, but you're within USC. Go out there, take advantage of all those amazing resources, those talented students. Let that all show up in your work. That's only going to make it better. And so, so many opportunities for that.
That is awesome to hear about the cross-disciplinary work that's happening. We've even talked about it at the secondary level. Although one of the things that I really admire about USC is keeping that structure of sequential learning in such a way that you are really developing the artist who's going to walk away a specialist to a degree, but is also going to have that diversified opportunity as well. And I think that those are key. Those are important. I had a discussion with a student who came to me and said, I'm interested in music score for film. And then we got into a debate, because often students, they want to challenge you. And I said, we're going to go to the #1 school in the country here. And I brought up your website, and I said, now show me in the cinematic arts department where they've got music score. And all it did was it reframed for the student that you're still going to have to be trained in your discipline, right? Suddenly we're looking at music now as the way to get there. So that's what I love about the integrity of what USC continues to do. You guys are an incredibly innovative and forward-thinking university. And I guess when you get that many great minds together on one campus, it's inevitable. The synergy is incredible. So students, we're well past our normal half hour, 40 minutes, but I'll tell you what, this has been enriching beyond belief. You've got information now that you can go back to any time. Go back into the archive and replay this. Fast forward it to the stuff that you want to listen to. But there's a ton of information here. I am going to give each of our panelists a final thought for everybody, things to consider, maybe something that they didn't get a chance to say before we bring this to a close. And I think I'd like to start with Antonio. I'm going to go in the same order, guys.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for your time today. What I'd like to just leave you off with is that keep working, keep creating, look for things that inspire you, because it's happening every day. And that informs your work, and that informs where you're going to go to school as well. And we hope that you would consider USC, because once you're part of this family, it's just a ride of a lifetime. So we welcome you to apply. We welcome you to reach out, and just check us out on the social medias, because you'll just let me speak for what's happening in real time, speak for itself, because you just see how engaged and how creative and how exciting
That's awesome.
the
Elliot.
arts is at USC.
Thank you. So if you are going to apply to our dance program, I would strongly encourage you to think about who you want to be as an artist, about what you want to contribute to the world, what else you're interested in, not just in dance, but at the university level. We're really interested in students who have a really unique perspective, and students who are true to themselves and are interested in the world at large. So think about that strongly when you are applying.
Awesome.
USC
That's
Kaufman.
great advice too. Susan.
Mine is similar to Elliot, but I think it's so important, I'll say it again, is that as you're working on your application to USC and the School of Cinematic Arts, is to be as authentic as possible. Please put aside any notions of what you think we want to hear or what you think we want to see or read in your application, and know that we just want to get to know you. Know that I love that one of our Office of Admission officers says, at the other side of your application are other human beings who just want to get to know you as a person. So we want to get a better sense of who you are as a student, as a creative, as a storyteller, and really don't kind of get caught up in trying to, figure out what we want to here. There isn't one prescribed formula or expectation that we have. So as comfortable as you are, kind of dig deep and just be, authentic in that. You don't need to spend a lot of time telling us that you love to watch film and television. We assume that about you if you're applying to SCA. And while that may be true of your experience, you don't need to spend a lot of time telling us that. Again, focus that energy and that time and those words on telling us about who you are, your perspective, your background, your education, your journey up into the point, and how all of that really informs the stories that you want to tell. And best of luck to all of you working on your college apps, whether it's to USC or whether it's to another school. As admission officers for all of us, I can probably speak on behalf of all of us and say, we desire for you to find the place where you're going to thrive and be the best version of yourself and the best student. And so we would love to invite you into our community, but know that there are also a lot of great schools. So best of luck in this process.
That's awesome. Brittany.
It's all been said so well already. I definitely want to echo everything that has been said and piggyback off of something Susan in particular was mentioning, where to do your best to switch the thinking from what do they want to hear or what do they want to read to what do I want to say? What do I have to say? Because you have something to say, you have something to offer. This is we have the same goal in mind, is to, find students that, we think will have a great experience here at USC that we can support and, be able to welcome into the community. And that's what you're looking for as well, as a place where you can thrive and have a great experience as well. Because the learning doesn't just start when you get to college and it doesn't finish as soon as you're done with college. It's a place where this is going to be kind of a part of your lifelong journey. And so again, just as everybody said, be as genuine as possible in the application, really reflect on what you want to come across in the application rather than what you think we want to be hearing or reading or seeing. And we definitely have to say this as well, in terms of what we want to say to you all is fight on. Definitely have to throw out the fight on from USC.
I was going to go there with the whole notion, Brittany, that you said that this lasts a lifetime. I was going to say, my gosh, students, it does, because I don't know how many adults I have met throughout my entire life. And if they're from USC, fight on is somewhere, usually on their car, but it's somewhere. Or they'll end an email with it. So definitely a unique connection there. Hey, Jack just wants to say real quick, thanks for the Zoom, you guys. He says it was really informative, and he's going to follow up with a few more questions via email from Miss Jimenez. So you've got a drummer that's going to try to get into the USC. Hey, guys, I could not be more grateful for your time, your energy, your expertise. This panel has been absolutely outstanding, and I just want to bring this to a close now. Say thank you so much, USC, for representing your outstanding institution. And again, remind our students, go back and check this out again. Lots of information here, and there's the email address, admit.usc.edu. Students, stay strong, stay safe. We love you. Panel, thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.